There is a pattern that repeats itself on the internet over and over again. A young creator gets a massive platform handed to them. They get access to audiences, opportunities, and resources that most people their age could not even dream of. And instead of using that opportunity carefully, instead of understanding what it means and what it costs to blow it, they make a series of choices that seem almost designed to destroy everything they were given. We have seen this pattern before, we have covered it before, and every time it happens, people say the same thing. They say, this creator is the worst. They say, nobody has ever been this reckless. They say, surely it cannot get worse than this. And then it gets worse. Today, I want to talk about two creators who fit this pattern in very different ways. Jack Doherty, a 22-year-old whose behavior over the past 2 years has become almost a case study in how not to handle a platform, and RaKai, a 17-year-old who, in a much shorter time, has managed to rack up a record that in some ways is even harder to look at. This is not a video about hating either of them. I want to be clear about that from the start. This is a video about patterns, about what happens when young people are given massive platforms without adequate guidance, about what the internet rewards and what it ignores, and about whether RaKai, at 17 years old, is already on a trajectory that should concern everyone watching him. Let us go through it properly. Who is Jack Doherty? Jack Doherty started making YouTube videos in 2016. He was 13 years old. His content was simple: bottle flips, marker flips, trick shots. The kind of harmless, energetic content that a teenage boy makes when he discovers YouTube and realizes people are watching. By 2017, his channel was growing fast. By the time he was 15, his father was helping him invest his earnings in real estate. By 18, estimates put his net worth somewhere between $15 and $20 million. He had done what almost every young person who opens a YouTube channel dreams of doing. He had turned it into a real, substantial career before most people his age had their first job. And then, slowly, the content shifted. It started with Walmart pranks, intercom announcements in stores, street content where he would approach strangers and bother them, usually with bodyguards nearby in case anyone pushed back. The kind of content that gets clicks but makes you uncomfortable watching it, because the people being bothered did not sign up to be in someone's video, they just went to the store. Then came the escalation. In 2024, Jack Doherty crashed a McLaren, a $200,000 car, while using his phone during a live stream, in the rain. His cameraman needed stitches, and Jack Doherty's first visible reaction on camera was to assess the damage to the car, not to check on the person next to him, the car. Kick banned him permanently. Then they unbanned him. Then they banned him again 9 days later after he got into a physical altercation with a heckler during a live stream. In November 2024, he live-streamed his wedding to influencer McKinley Richardson in Las Vegas, in front of her entire family, and announced what he called a prenup at the altar. He said on camera, in front of everyone she loved, that she would receive nothing if he cheated, but would owe him $10 million if she was unfaithful. Her father reportedly cried after the ceremony. They divorced in May 2025. In March 2025, McKinley called the police on him. Doherty went on stream and called her names publicly. In November 2025, he was arrested in Miami at 3 a.m. for possession of amphetamines, possession of marijuana, and resisting arrest. He faces up to 7 years in prison. He posted bail and went back to creating content. In February 2026, he was banned for life from every PGA Tour event after encouraging his audience to heckle a professional golfer mid-swing. That is Jack Doherty's track record, and I want you to sit with it for a moment because it is genuinely serious. This is not pranks that went slightly wrong. This is a pattern of behavior involving physical harm to others, public humiliation of a spouse, drug possession, and a lifetime sporting ban across 5 years. Now I want to introduce you to RaKai. Who is RaKai? RaKai, full name Quivan RaKai Linder, is 17 years old. He's from Syracuse, New York. He won't turn 18 until November 21st of this year. His rise to prominence came through one moment. Kai Cenat, the most subscribed streamer on Twitch, brought him into Mafiathon 2 in late 2024. That single appearance introduced RaKai to millions of viewers overnight. It was a genuine gift. Kai saw something in this kid and gave him a platform that most creators spend years trying to build. From there, RaKai grew fast. He built over 1.8 million Twitch followers. His YouTube presence expanded. He became part of the broader orbit of AMP content, one of the most watched creator collectives on the internet. At 16 years old, he had access to resources, audiences, and opportunities that were genuinely extraordinary. He's also publicly dating Piper Raquel, another 17-year-old influencer who built her own massive audience as a child creator. On Valentine's Day 2026, he asked her to be his Valentine publicly. Both of them are teenagers in a teenage relationship. That part of this story deserves to be said clearly and without embellishment. But here's what else happened in the 12 months between early 2025 and now. RaKai accumulated 6 Twitch bans. He was involved in public beefs with Bruce Dropimoff, Aiden Ross, and multiple other streamers. He was accused of shoplifting on camera. He was suspended for leaking a professional NBA player's private phone number on stream. His YouTube chat was mass reported and disabled by his own audience. He made public threats against the people who reported him. He refused to pay a $6,500 wager he had lost fairly, and he told the person he owed money to on camera to perform an act on themselves, and his account was subsequently hit with a 720-day suspension. He's 17 years old. Let us go through this properly. The ban timeline. I want to walk through each of RaKai's 6 Twitch bans carefully because I think the details matter. Ban number 1, June 2025. RaKai was driving and looking at his phone. This is almost identical to the incident that got Jack Doherty permanently banned from Kick. The difference is that Doherty was 20 when it happened. RaKai was 16. No crash occurred, but the behavior, live streaming while operating a vehicle and looking at a phone rather than the road, is dangerous in a way that does not require a crash to be serious. Ban number 2, December 2, 2025. The Flowers Incident. RaKai was inside a Walmart, streaming live. He picked up a bouquet of flowers without paying for them and handed them to a woman outside the store. When his audience asked whether he had paid, he said yes. He had not. This resulted in a ban. It also resulted in QTC Candela, the host of the Streamer Awards, making a public joke about it, which itself created a secondary controversy about how the joke was received. Bans 3 and 4. These came in quick succession, following escalating conduct violations on his account. Twitch has not released detailed public explanations for both, but the pattern of their occurrence, each arriving shortly after the last, shows an account that was accumulating warnings at a rate that should have been a clear signal to anyone paying attention. Ban number 5, March 10, 2026. This one is perhaps the most instructive. RaKai was on a Just Chatting stream, messaging celebrities in the hopes of setting up collaborations. At a certain point, LaMelo Ball, a Charlotte Hornets NBA player, shared a private phone number with him in a private message. RaKai put that phone number on stream, in front of his entire audience. A real person's private contact information information displayed publicly to an audience of hundreds of thousands of people. Twitch banned him for 30 days. During a YouTube stream he ran while explaining the ban, he showed his Twitch dashboard live. It showed his account was now at a 720-day violation level, meaning his next comparable incident would carry significantly escalated consequences. He said on that stream, unprompted, that he was aware that his next ban would likely be permanent. He said that about himself at 17 years old. And then came ban number 6, the Clicks wager. RaKai entered a Fortnite wager with fellow streamer Clicks, a competitive match with a gifted 99-0 advantage in RaKai's favor. He lost. He did not secure a single elimination. The agreed wager was $6,500. He refused to pay. What he said when he refused is something I want you to hear clearly, because it matters for understanding the pattern we're looking at. He looked at the camera and said, addressing Clicks directly, "The Kai Cenat factor. You cannot have an honest conversation about RaKai without talking about what Kai Cenat gave him, and what has happened to that relationship since." Kai Cenat is 24 years old. He is, by most measurable standards, one of the most successful and genuinely talented creators on the internet. His rise came through consistency, personality, and the kind of work ethic that most people do not see because it happens off camera. He built something real, and he saw something in RaKai and decided to give him a platform. There is a video, widely circulated, titled "RaKai Blew Up My Room." In it, Kai and RaKai end up physically on the floor following an argument. The context, as best as can be established from the footage, is that Kai was trying to hold RaKai accountable for causing damage to the amp house, a facility Kai had made available to him. Kai reportedly asked him to apologize to others in the house. What followed was not an apology. The video is striking not because of the physicality, that part is relatively minor, but because of what it shows about the dynamic between the two of them. Here is a 24-year-old who built his career carefully, trying to correct a 16-year-old he had personally elevated, and the 16-year-old's response was not to receive that correction, it was to resist it. There has also been a fake post circulating on X this week claiming that Kai and RaKai had a heated on-stream argument involving Kai's ex-girlfriend, Gigi. That claim is false. The video it references has nothing to do with Gigi, but the fact that it spread rapidly and convincingly before being debunked tells you something about how the internet currently frames the relationship between these two. People want a falling out. They want a clean narrative. The reality, as usual, is more complicated than that. What is verifiably true is that RaKai's behavior has put the person who gave him his biggest opportunity in the position of repeatedly having to distance himself from or manage the fallout of that behavior. That is not a small thing. Side by side. Let me now put them directly side by side across the categories that matter most. Driving incidents. Jack Doherty crashed a $200,000 car while on his phone during a live stream. His cameraman was injured. RaKai streamed while driving at age 16. No crash occurred. Doherty's incident caused concrete, documented harm to another person. RaKai's was reckless in a way that fortunately did not result in injury. Advantage, if you want to call it that, goes to RaKai here, but the behavior itself is the same. Financial conduct. Jack Doherty's worst financial controversy involved his treatment of McKinley Richardson, the prenup announcement, the public humiliation, and the subsequent divorce. RaKai refused to pay a $6,500 debt he owed following a fairly conducted competition. He then publicly insulted the person he owed money to on camera. Different scales, similar disregard for the basic concept of honoring commitments. Platform bans. Doherty, 2. RaKai, 6, including a 2-year suspension. This is not close. Age and timeline. Doherty's worst behavior happened between the ages of 20 and 22, across 5 years. RaKai's record covers approximately 12 months, and he is still 17. This is the part that makes the comparison genuinely uncomfortable. The trajectory, if you extrapolate it forward, points somewhere that nobody should want to see. Public relations. Jack Doherty live-streamed his wedding and used it as content in a way that caused documented distress to his partner's family. RaKai is in an age-appropriate teenage relationship. This category is not comparable. It should not be made comparable. They're teenagers. Response to accountability. This is where both of them struggle most visibly. Doherty's pattern after incidents is to briefly acknowledge, deflect, and continue. RaKai's pattern is faster. The acknowledgement is shorter, the deflection is more immediate, and the return to the same behavior happens more quickly. Of the two, RaKai's relationship with accountability is, right now, the less developed, the uncomfortable conclusion. I want to be careful about how I frame this section, because I think the comfortable version of this conversation does a disservice to what is actually worth saying. The comfortable version goes like this. RaKai is 17. He's a kid. He'll grow out of it. Give him time. And I do not think that version is wrong. I think it's incomplete. Here is what I think is actually worth saying. RaKai has been given, at 17 years old, a level of public platform and resources that creates a very specific kind of pressure. The people around him, many of whom are older, more experienced, and have more to lose, have not always responded to his behavior in ways that create real accountability. The internet rewards his worst moments with the most attention. His audience, in moments of conflict, often encourage escalation rather than reflection. And the platforms that could create structural consequences have done so inconsistently. None of that excuses the behavior, but it does explain the environment in which the behavior keeps happening. Jack Doherty is 22. He's had 5 years to develop a pattern of conduct that is now a matter of public legal record. The McLaren crash, the drug arrest, the prenup broadcast, the golf ban, these are not things that happened in isolation. They're the product of a person who found that recklessness got rewarded and that consequences could be absorbed or ignored. RaKai is 17. He's 12 months into building what looks right now like a very similar pattern, and the question this video is really asking is not who is worse. The question is whether anyone in RaKai's orbit, the platforms, the other creators, the adults around him, are going to interrupt that pattern before it calcifies, because the evidence right now is not encouraging. What the pattern? I've covered a lot of creators on this channel, and one thing I've noticed consistently is that the patterns you see at the beginning almost always tell you where someone is going. Not always. People change, growth happens. Some creators who started badly found something that grounded them, a relationship, a community, a moment of real consequence that changed their perspective. It happens. But the pattern I'm seeing with RaKai right now, 6 bans in 12 months, refusal to honor financial commitments, public threats towards his own audience, and a short and fast cycle between incident and reset, that's not the beginning of a growth arc. Not yet. It's the beginning of a calcification, a pattern hardening into a habit. Jack Doherty at 17 was making bottle flip videos and getting millions of views. Nobody would have predicted what his channel would look like at 22, and that cuts both ways for RaKai. The trajectory right now is concerning, but a trajectory is not a destiny. What would need to change? Honestly, the answer is simple, even if the execution is hard. Real accountability, not internet accountability, which is just noise, but the kind that comes from people who are actually in his life. Consequences that are consistent, and time away from the pressure of a massive live audience at an age when most people are still figuring out who they are without anyone watching. Whether any of that happens is something I cannot predict. What I can say is that this story is not finished, and whether the ending looks more like a cautionary tale or a comeback story is, at 17 years old, genuinely still up to him. If you made it to the end of this video, you're exactly the type of person this channel is built for. I make videos like this because I think the internet deserves more than hot takes and reaction content. These stories are worth taking seriously, not because the drama is entertaining, but because the patterns inside the drama tell us something real about how platforms work, how young people navigate massive public attention, and what it actually costs when nobody steps in. If that kind of content is what you're looking for, hit the subscribe button right now. I put out a new video every single week. Every one of them is researched, structured, and built to give you the full picture, not just the headline. Drop a comment below telling me where you think RaKai goes from here. Does he turn it around, or does this pattern continue? I read every comment and I reply to as many as I can. And if you want to keep watching, I've put the next video right up on your screen now. I'll see you there.